Okay, multiplying and dividing decimals. As long as you guys can multiply whole numbers and divide with whole numbers, you should be able to multiply and divide with decimals. There's just a few tips before you start a problem that you need to think about here, and I'm going to show you what those are. Let's start with multiplying decimals first. So let's look at this problem right here. Okay, we have 5.7 times 1.6. The first thing that I want you guys to do until you get used to this is I just want you guys to count the number of decimal places in your problem. So that goes for both numbers. Okay, so we got to look at both numbers. On this one we have one decimal place. Okay, so and then this one we have another decimal place. So what I want you guys to do, if this kind of helps you guys think about it a little bit, just write that number, whatever the number of decimals is, off to the side somewhere, circle it so you know that that's your number of decimals you're going to put into your answer once you're finished. Okay, so if you do that, and if this helps you not get confused while multiplying, you guys can just take out the decimals now. So if you want to take out, oops, I erased a little bit too much. If you want to take out these decimals here, okay, you can just multiply without the decimals if that makes more sense to you. Okay, so if we take, and I'll show you how this is going to work here. So 6 times 7, okay, we get, oops, 42. Okay, 5 times 6 is 30. Add our 4, so we get 34. And we're going to multiply our 1 times 57, so 1 times 7, we get 7, and 1 times 5, we get 5. Okay, and there would be just a 0 here if we wanted to put a 0. So now we can add these numbers up. We got 2, let's see, 11, okay, 8, 9. Okay, so here now we're looking at, we wrote down this number 2 here, so we know we have to put that many decimal places back into our answer. Okay, so we'd start at the end here and we'd move that decimal place in 2 spots. Okay. Not sure what happened there. So we're going to move it in 2 spots here. And so our answer would actually be 9.12. Okay, let's try another one here. Okay, so we have 2.66 times 0.7. I'm going to leave the decimals in this time, but I am going to count how many decimal places we have here. So we have 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so I'm just going to write that number up here, and I want you guys to kind of get in the habit of doing that until you know these steps by heart. Okay, but now we can multiply here. So again, 7 times 6, 42. Okay, 7 times 6 again right here is 42 plus the 4, so 46. Okay, 4, 2 times 7 is going to be 14 plus 4. Okay, so we get this number right here. Now we got to take our 3 decimal places and put that back into that number. Okay, so we start at the end and we're going to move that decimal place in 3 spots. Okay, and that's where our decimal is going to go. So our answer is actually 1.862. Okay, so let's look at, that's multiplying decimals. Let's look at dividing decimals here. Okay, so in this problem up here we have 1.2, or 981 divided by 1.2. Okay, so on this one we have to move our decimal place. Okay, so if we have a number out here, okay, that has a decimal place, we have to move that to the end of that number. Okay, in this case it is, we only have to move it one place. Okay, so we're gonna take our decimal in here and we have to move that the same number of places that we did to the other number. Okay, and so if we moved it out here and there's nothing here, we just got to put a 0 in there. Okay, and we can erase this kind of stuff now and just turn it into this problem right here. Okay, so now we have 12. How many times can that go into 9? That would be 0. I'm not going to write a 0 there, so 12. How many times can it go into 98? Okay, I can go in there 8 times. That's going to be 96. Subtract those, we get 2. We're left with 2. We're going to drop our 1 down into the problem here. Remember to make sure that all of this is lined up, okay? That way you can kind of keep track of everything here and where you're dropping stuff into. Okay, if it helps you to draw the arrows, so it could just kind of remind yourself that you're dropping that number into your problem. Okay, so how many times can 12 go into 21? Just once. Okay, so we're going to subtract those. We're left with 9. We're going to drop our 0 down in there. Okay, and then I forgot you're going to put your decimal place in there. Okay, so make sure that you have that in there. So how many times can it go into 90? That would be 7, and give us 84. Left with 6. Okay, we have to add a 0 in there. Okay, we're going to drop that down into our problem. Okay, how many times can 12 go into 60? 5 times, and that actually gives us 60. So we're left with 0. So 817.5 is our answer. All right, let's look at one more problem here. And remember, if you guys are watching this video, it might help you guys to write down some of these practice examples on a piece of paper so you can look at it whenever you guys start doing some of your homework. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. So we got 0.04 or 324.9 divided by 0.04. Okay, again, we're going to move this to decimal places. So we have to move this one to decimal places. Okay, let's extend that out. We got to add a 0 in there. Okay, we can get rid of this stuff here. So it changes it, okay? It changes, actually we can erase this 0 out front too, and it'll just be 4. So it changes it to 32,000, right? 32,490 divided by 4. Okay, so let's work this out real quick. 4 can't go into 3, but it can go into 32. It can go in there 8 times. That actually makes that 32. We're left with 0. Still got to drop our 4 down. How many times can 4 go into 4? 1 time. Okay, we're left with 0 again. We're going to drop our 9 down into the problem. How many times can 4 go into 9? Okay, that'd be 2. That's 8. We're left with 1. We're going to drop that 0 down in there. 4 can go in there twice. So that's 8. Okay, we're left with 2 again. We don't want remainders anymore, so we're going to add a 0 and drop it down. And how many times can 4 go into 20? 4 times 5 is 20. And that will give us 0. So our answer would be 8,122.5. Okay, again, just a couple things that you got to do to kind of to think about in the very beginning of your problem. With the multiplying, again, if you want to just write down how many decimals you have and circle it just to remind you, and then you can take the decimals out if you'd like, so that way it doesn't confuse you a little bit. And then once you get used to it, you can just kind of leave those in there. You just kind of forget about it, ignore the decimals if you already know how many decimals to put in at the end.